I landed after a month away, expecting my fiancée at arrivals. Instead, I got her little sister holding a poster, and by midnight, I'd caught my fiancé with another man in my own house. What happened after that changed which sister I was engaged to. Here's the whole story. I flew back after a month away, expecting my fiancée to be waiting at arrivals with that practice smile she used when people were watching. Instead, her younger sister was standing by the baggage claim holding a crooked poster that said, "Welcome home, Nathan," and grinning like she had just pulled off a crime. For about 3 seconds, I just stood there with my suitcase in one hand and my laptop bag digging into my shoulder. "Where's Brielle?" I asked. Sienna lowered the poster a little. She was 25, maybe 26 by then, and I had known her for almost 4 years as Brielle's little sister. That was the label I had kept on her because it was safe and convenient. But that afternoon, after 31 days of airport food, hotel coffee, and late-night project calls in Denver, she didn't look like anybody's little anything. "She couldn't make it," Sienna said. "That's specific." "She asked me to come." "She did?" Sienna's smile flickered, not disappeared, just flickered. "Can we not do the airport interrogation thing? You look like a man who has been personally bullied by a middle seat." I had an aisle seat. Then you have no excuse. That was Sienna. Quick, warm, a little too honest. When everyone else in her family was busy polishing the furniture and hiding the cracks, she looked over her shoulder, like Brielle might appear from behind some random family with balloons. Nothing. Just people hugging, people leaving, people who had remembered who they were supposed to pick up. "My fiancé forgot my flight," I said. Sienna shifted the poster under her arm. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." She reached for my suitcase. I didn't let go. "I can carry my own bag." "I know. I was trying to look useful." "You drove here?" "Yes, in Brielle's car. My car because I enjoy having working turn signals." I almost smiled. Almost. But something had already gone wrong in my chest, and I was old enough to recognize it. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't panic. It was the kind of quiet warning a man gets when a story stops adding up. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Mom and Dad's. They made dinner. Brielle's there." Sienna looked away toward the sliding doors. "Let's just get you out of the airport." That was answer enough. If I'd known where that ride was headed, I would have left my suitcase spinning on the carousel and driven straight home. But I didn't. I followed Sienna to the parking garage, tossed my bag in the trunk, and got into her old blue sedan that smelled faintly like mint gum and fast food fries. She pulled out of the airport traffic like she had done it 100 times. "How was Denver?" she asked. "Long. That's all." I spent a month explaining to executives why their impossible deadline was impossible, then delivering it anyway. So heroic and underpaid. Corporate America has a very clear policy against heroes. She laughed, then caught herself, like laughing too much might be disrespectful to whatever was sitting between us. Brielle hadn't been warm before I left. That was the part I had trained myself not to examine too closely. We were supposed to get married in 8 weeks. She had been distracted, irritated, always on her phone, always too tired for a real conversation. When I asked what was wrong, she said I was making pressure where there wasn't any. So I did what I had always done around her family. I stayed calm, I kept the peace. I told myself adults didn't turn every cold evening into a war. That sounds mature until you realize sometimes peace is just another word for denial with better manners. Sienna glanced at me at a red light. "You're quiet." "I'm tired." "No, you're doing the thing." "What thing?" "The polite face. The one where you pretend you're not noticing something because everyone else is pretending harder." I turned my head. "You're always this direct with exhausted men." "Only the ones marrying my sister." "Lucky me." She tapped the wheel with her thumb. "Nathan, I really did think she would be at my parents' house." "When did you last talk to her?" "This morning. She said she'd be there." Sienna hesitated. "She said she'd handle it." That is not the same sentence. No, it is not. We didn't talk for the next 10 minutes. Her parents lived in a nice neighborhood outside Columbus, in a house where the lawn always looked freshly judged. Walter and Diane Bennett were decent people, the kind who believed any problem could be handled with enough iced tea and controlled facial expressions. They welcomed me like nothing was wrong. "Nathan," Diane hugged me hard. "You look tired, sweetheart. Month away will do that." Walter shook my hand. "Good to have you back. Brielle will be sorry she missed the airport." "Where is Brielle?" The room paused half a beat too long. Diane moved toward the kitchen. "She's been busy with things. You know how she gets." "No, I'm asking where she is." Walter cleared his throat. "She might stop by later." Sienna stood near the doorway, arms folded, watching her parents dodge the question like it was a live wire. I looked at Diane. Did she know I was flying in today? Diane busied herself with a stack of plates. "Of course she knew, honey. Sit down, eat something first." I sat down because I had manners, and because there's a difference between being calm and being a fool. Sometimes you let people show you how far they are willing to go before you make your move. Dinner was chicken salad and the kind of tension you could spread on bread. Diane kept asking about Denver. Walter discussed the weather, then highway construction, then a neighbor's new fence. Sienna barely touched her food. Finally, I set my fork down. "Sienna, can I speak with you for a second?" Brielle's mother looked up too fast. "Now?" "Yes, now." I walked out to the back patio. Sienna followed, shutting the door behind her. The evening air was cooler than the house. I turned to her. "No more polite answers. Where is Brielle?" Sienna rubbed both hands over her face. "I don't know. You picked me up because she asked you. She texted yesterday and said she might be busy and could I get you if needed." "If needed?" I thought she meant some wedding appointment ran long or something. Then this morning she stopped answering. "When did you last see her?" Sienna looked down. "Before you left." I stared at her. "You haven't seen your own sister in a month?" "No." "And your parents?" "They say she's busy." "That's impressive. 4 adults in one family and nobody owns a calendar?" Sienna's mouth twitched, but there was no humor in it. "Nathan, I'm sorry." "You don't need to apologize for her." "I know, I just hate this." "Does she have a key to my house?" Sienna nodded slowly. "For Baxter and your plants." Baxter was my golden retriever, currently staying with my neighbor during the last week of my trip because Brielle said she had too much going on. At the time, I had accepted it. Peace again. Beautiful, useless peace. I looked through the patio door at Diane and Walter, pretending not to watch us. "She's at my house," I said. Sienna didn't answer. "You know that too, don't you?" "I don't know it, but yes, that's what I'm afraid of." I nodded once. "Okay. What are you going to do?" "Finish dinner." "What?" "I'm not storming out of your parents' house like some reality show contestant." "Sienna, I'll eat. I'll thank your mother, then I'll go home." Sienna stared at me like she wanted to argue, then seemed to understand that my calm wasn't weakness. It was the last polite layer before something permanent. Inside, Diane offered pie. I took a slice. Walter complimented my work ethic. I thanked him. Sienna watched me like she was waiting for an engine to overheat. When I finally stood, Diane said, "Brielle may call you later." I picked up my coat. "She won't need to." Walter frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means I know where I'm going." Sienna walked me to my rental car. "I can come with you." "No, she's my sister." "She's my fiancée." Sienna looked at the ground. "Not sure she remembers that." I opened the car door. "That makes 2 of us." My house sat on a quiet street 15 minutes away. I had bought it 2 years earlier, before Brielle and I got engaged, before wedding deposits and guest lists and arguments about linen colors I did not care about, but had learned to pretend were important. The porch light was on. Brielle's car was in the driveway. So was a black pickup I didn't recognize. I parked at the curb and sat for a moment. Not because I didn't know what to do, because there are moments in a man's life where he understands the next 5 minutes will split his life into before and after, and rushing won't make it cleaner. Then I got out, walked to the front door, and unlocked it. Music was playing low in the kitchen. There were 2 glasses on the counter. My couch had a blanket on it that wasn't mine. A man came out of the hallway wearing socks and holding his phone. He stopped when he saw me. "Who are you?" he asked. I looked past him. Brielle. She appeared behind him in one of my old Ohio State sweatshirts. For a second, nobody moved. Then she said, "Nathan." Not "you're home," not "I'm sorry," just my name. like I was the one who had arrived without permission. I set my keys on the table. "You have 10 minutes." The man blinked. "Excuse me?" I pointed to the door. "10 minutes to get whatever belongs to you out of my house. I'm being generous because I just got off a flight and my standards are exhausted." Brielle stepped forward. "Nathan, don't do this." "I'm not doing anything. I came home." "It's not what it looks like." I looked around my living room. 2 glasses, his shoes by the couch, her suitcase near the stairs. That line should come with a laugh track. The man lifted both hands. "I didn't know." "You didn't know she was engaged?" He glanced at Brielle. I smiled without warmth. "That's a yes with better lighting." Brielle's face tightened. "You've been gone for a month. And apparently my house was lonely. Don't humiliate me." That one almost impressed me. "Brielle, you invited a man into my house while I was out of town working to pay for a wedding you stopped acting interested in. Humiliation got here before I did." She crossed her arms. "You're being cruel." "No, cruel would be calling your parents and asking if they want to come help you pack. I'm choosing efficiency." The man moved fast after that. Shoes, jacket, phone charger. He kept saying, "Man, I'm sorry," like apologies were a universal solvent. When he reached the door, I said, "Name?" He looked back. "Colton." "Colton, lose my address." He nodded and left. Brielle grabbed her purse. "You're really throwing me out?" "Yes." "At midnight?" "It's 10:42, but nice audition." She stared at me, waiting for the old version of me, the one who would ask questions for 2 hours, try to understand, maybe accept 3 weak explanations just to avoid blowing up 2 families. That man had missed his connection somewhere between Denver and baggage claim. I told her, "You can stay at your parents'. They'll ask questions. Then you'll finally have a hobby." Her eyes got sharp. "You think Sienna is innocent in all this?" I paused. "What?" "She picked you up, didn't she? She's always right there, so helpful, so sweet. Don't be naive." I walked to the front door and opened it. "Brielle, out." She came close, voice low. "You'll regret this." "I already regret several things. This isn't one of them." She left with her suitcase banging against the step. I closed the door and stood in my own living room while my life sat around me looking slightly used. I didn't break anything. I didn't yell after her. I walked room to room, opened windows, stripped a blanket off the couch, and put both glasses in the sink because apparently even a personal disaster can have dishes. Then I called Sienna. She answered on the first ring. "Tell me she was there with someone." "Yes." Sienna said something under her breath that I won't repeat, mostly because her mother would have fainted and my phone might have needed counseling. "I'm coming over." "No, Sienna. No, I don't need a family cage match in my driveway." "She used your house?" "Yes, she used my house." "I heard you the first time. I'm going to drag her by that perfect salon hair." "Sienna, what?" "Meet me somewhere neutral." She breathed hard through the phone. "Neutral like what? A police station lobby?" "Diner on Henderson, 20 minutes." "Fine, but I'm ordering fries and judging your calmness." "That seems fair." The diner was half empty, the kind of place where the coffee tasted like it had opinions. Sienna arrived in jeans and a sweatshirt, hair pulled back, eyes bright with anger. She slid into the booth across from me before I even sat straight. "Tell me exactly," I told her. Not dramatically, not with extra details, just what happened. By the time I finished, she had both hands wrapped around her coffee mug. My sister is unbelievable. She's very believable. That's the problem. Sienna looked up. "You're making jokes." "I'm choosing not to throw a napkin dispenser through that window." "Healthy growth." She laughed once, then covered her mouth like she felt guilty for it. "I'm sorry, that wasn't funny." "It was a little funny." "No, it's awful, Nathan." "Both things can be true. That's adulthood, a buffet of garbage with occasional pie." She leaned back, studying me. "Are you okay?" "No." "Good." "I mean, not good, but better than you saying yes." The waitress came over. Sienna ordered fries. I ordered coffee. The waitress looked between us like she knew better than to ask. After she left, Sienna said, "I should have told you earlier that something felt off." "You didn't know." "I knew enough. That's not the same." She shook her head. "My whole family does this. We protect the loudest person in the room because it's easier. Brielle gets difficult, everyone gets careful. I helped with that." Sienna's eyes softened. You were trying to be decent. I was trying to keep the peace. That's decent. No, decent is honest. Peace without honesty is just a nice tablecloth over a mess. She didn't answer right away. That's the most depressing thing anyone has ever said over fries. I've had a long day. I noticed. The fries came. She pushed the plate towards me. Eat. I'm not hungry. Nathan, what? You just removed your fiancée from your house after finding her with another man. You can have one fry. It won't ruin your tragic discipline. I took one. There. Proud. And there it was. In the middle of the worst night I'd had in years, Sienna made me laugh. Not because she ignored what happened, but because she refused to let it swallow the whole table. We stayed there until the waitress started wiping down counters around us. At some point, Sienna said, "You know Brielle will spin this." I know. She'll say you were cold, gone too much, controlling. She can say I personally ruined Thanksgiving. Doesn't change what I walked into, but people believe the first story they hear. I looked at her. Then I'll have to decide whether silence is still noble when it lets someone else lie. Sienna held my gaze, then dropped hers to the plate. I hate that I'm part of this. You're not part of what she did. I'm her sister. You didn't choose that. No, but I chose to pick you up. I chose to sit here. I chose to be angry for you. I'm not complaining. She smiled faintly. Good, because I'm excellent in a crisis. Slightly bossy, but excellent. Slightly careful. You're emotionally vulnerable. I'll let that pass. The diner lights felt too bright, the coffee too bitter, the night too strange. Yet I didn't want to leave. That should have scared me more than it did. When we finally walked outside, the parking lot was quiet. Sienna stopped beside my car. I don't want you going back to that house alone. I'll be fine. I didn't ask if you'd survive. I said I don't want it. That landed differently. Sienna, what? This is complicated. She let out a small laugh. That is a hilarious word for it. You know what I mean. I do. She stepped closer. Not enough to make it dramatic, just enough that I stopped thinking about the cold air. I also know you spent 4 years being loyal to someone who treated loyalty like a subscription. She could cancel whenever she got bored. That's pretty harsh. I'm trying to behave. You call that behaving? For me, tonight, yes. I looked at her. Really looked. Not as Brielle's sister. Not as the funny one at family dinners who teased me for eating Diane's dry turkey without blinking. As Sienna, a woman who had shown up when she didn't have to. A woman who was standing in front of me, angry, honest, and braver than anyone else in that house had been all evening. I used to think you were the easier person to talk to, I admitted. At the dinners, the barbecues. When Brielle would get irritated and disappear, you'd sit with me by the grill and ask normal questions. Work, Baxter, baseball, nothing heavy, just normal. Sienna's voice dropped. I remember. I told myself it was because you were friendly. That's one explanation. What's the other? She looked at me for a long second, then reached up and touched my cheek with her fingers. Gentle, careful, not stealing anything, offering. The other is that you picked the wrong sister. I should have stepped back. A better man, or maybe a more frightened one, would have. Instead, I stayed exactly where I was. Sienna, it's not too late, she said. There was no performance in it, no big speech, just a truth she had apparently carried longer than I wanted to imagine. I covered her hand with mine, lowered it slowly, and held it between us. I can't make you my escape hatch. Her eyes flashed. I'm not a hatch. No, you're not. That's why I'm saying it. She looked away, breathing through whatever answer she wanted to give. I'm not asking you to do anything tonight. Good, but don't insult me by pretending there's nothing here. I almost smiled. You always this direct with men in parking lots? Only the ones who take too long. We stood there another moment before I let go. I'm going home. Text me when you get there. Yes, Mom. She pointed at me. Don't start. I'm too tired to start anything. Good, because when you do start, I expect competence. That time, I actually laughed. The next morning, I drove Sienna back to her parents' house because her car was still there. She had slept at a friend's apartment near the diner after refusing to go home angry. I respected that.
I also noticed she had changed nothing about the way she looked at me. No regret. No apology for what she had said. When we pulled up, Brielle's car was in the driveway. Sienna stared at it. Oh, perfect. Breakfast theater. Do you want me to leave? She looked at me like I had offended her. No, I want you to park. So I did. We walked toward the front door. Before we reached it, Brielle came out, wearing a soft sweater and a wounded expression she probably practiced in mirrors. Nathan, she said, moving toward me with open arms. I stepped back. She froze. Diane appeared behind her, Walter beside Diane. Brielle's mouth tightened. Really? You're gonna be cold to me in front of my parents? I looked past her. Good morning, Diane. Walter. Diane's face was pale. Nathan, Brielle said there was a misunderstanding. There was not. Nathan, Brielle snapped, don't do this. You mean don't tell the truth? I mean, don't twist things. Sienna laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. Brielle? Brielle turned on her. Oh, don't start. You've been waiting for this. Sienna stepped forward. For you to humiliate yourself? Honestly, no. I thought you had better survival instincts. Sienna? Diane said. Brielle pointed at her sister. She picked him up. She kept him out all night. And now they show up together like I'm supposed to be stupid. Walter looked at me. Nathan, is there something going on with Sienna? I felt Sienna stiffen beside me. There it was, the switch. Brielle had walked out of my house less than 12 hours earlier, and already she was trying to drag Sienna into the center of it. I didn't raise my voice. Walter, your daughter spent my month away using my house in a way I never agreed to. I found her there last night with a man named Colton. That is what happened. Diane covered her mouth. Brielle barked. He's lying. Sienna stared at her. You're really going to say that? Brielle's eyes shined with anger. You don't get to talk. You've been jealous of me since we were kids. Sienna took the hit. I saw it. Not dramatic, just a small tightening in her face, like this was an old bruise being pressed. That was the moment I made a choice. I reached for Sienna's hand. She looked at me, startled. I turned to her parents. Sienna is coming with me. Brielle laughed. Oh, wow, there it is. I ignored her. Not because of whatever story Brielle is building, because I won't stand here and watch her punish Sienna for telling the truth. Diane was torn. Sienna, sweetheart. Sienna's hand closed around mine. I'm going. Brielle stared at her. You walk out that door with him, don't come back crying when everyone sees what you are. Sienna's voice shook, but she didn't step back. What I am is tired. I looked at Brielle. You wanted a scene, you got a decision instead. Sorry about the downgrade. Then I walked Sienna to my car, in front of all of them. On the drive back, she was quiet for a long time. You okay? No. Fair. She always does that. I noticed. No, you've seen the family dinner version. Today was the director's cut. That bad? Sienna rubbed her forehead. She makes a mess, then screams until someone else cleans it or apologizes for noticing. I used to fight her. Then I stopped, because Mom would cry and Dad would say, you know how Brielle is. I hate that sentence. Me too. When we got to my house, she stood in the entryway like she wasn't sure she was allowed to exist there. You can take the guest room. I'm not moving in. I didn't say you were. You said Sienna is coming with me in front of your parents and your former fiancé. I said it because she was cornering you. Sienna gave me a look. You understand how that sounded, right? Yes. And you did it anyway. Yes. Why? I set my keys on the table because the truth was already ugly. Letting her add your name to it would have made it uglier. Sienna looked away. You shouldn't have to protect me. I'm not protecting you because you're helpless. I'm standing beside you because you don't deserve to stand alone. That shut both of us up. She put her bag down. Guest room down the hall. Do you have clean sheets, or is this where I learn you're secretly a cave animal? I have clean sheets. Good. I was worried the month in Denver broke you. Denver tried. For the next few days, the house became something I didn't expect. Not romantic at first, more practical, quiet, careful. Sienna worked remotely from my kitchen table. I went back to my office downtown and answered emails from coworkers who had no idea my personal life had just been hit by a chair. Baxter came home from my neighbors and immediately decided Sienna was his preferred human, which felt like betrayal, but with more shedding. At night, we cooked simple dinners. Sometimes we talked about Brielle. Sometimes we didn't. Sometimes Sienna would catch me staring at a wall and say, "You're doing the murder accountant face again." And I'd answer, "That is my resting project manager face." Sienna slept in the guest room. I slept in mine. We kept doors open in a way that made the awareness louder. One evening, she stood in my kitchen holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Do you want the honest question or the easy one?" "Easy first." "Do you have sugar?" "No." "Tragic. Honest question. Go." "Are you letting me stay here because you want me here or because you feel responsible?" I leaned against the counter. "Both." "That's not clean." "No, but it's honest." She nodded, then handed me a mug. "I don't want to be your reaction to her." "You're not. You can't know that yet. I know enough to not lie to you." She looked at me over her mug. "That's a low bar." "You'd be surprised how many people trip over it." Her smile was small, but real. A week after everything happened, I asked her to dinner. Not takeout, not we're both hungry dinner. She stood in the living room holding Baxter's leash. "Like a date?" "Yes, Sienna." "I know. You know it's messy." "I know. I know people will talk. I know you're her sister. I know I'm recently out of a relationship that should have ended before it did. I know all of that. And I still want to take you to dinner. Public place. No secret corners. No hiding." Her expression changed. "No hiding." "No hiding." She looked down at Baxter. "What do you think?" Baxter wagged his tail because he had the moral depth of a sandwich. Sienna sighed. "He approves." "Terrible judge of character. Clearly he likes me." "He tolerates you for shelter." "Cold." She looked back at me. "One dinner." "One dinner. And if it feels wrong, we stop. And if it feels right..." I held her eyes. "Then we admit we have a bigger problem." She smiled. "Okay." The dinner was at a small Italian place on the west side. Nothing fancy. We sat across from each other and spent the first 20 minutes pretending this was normal. The waiter asked, "Celebrating anything?" Sienna opened her menu. "Poor timing." I coughed into my water. The waiter blinked. I added, "Long story." He wisely disappeared. Sienna's bite back a smile. "You told a restaurant employee we were celebrating poor timing. Accurate, not false." The date became easier after that. We talked about her work as a graphic designer, my job managing commercial construction projects, her hatred of group texts, my irrational loyalty to bad baseball teams. Nothing huge, nothing forced. Then, outside the restaurant, she stopped by my car. "I had fun." "Don't sound so surprised." "I'm surprised at me." "Why?" "Because I didn't spend the whole night feeling guilty."
I nodded. That's allowed. Is it? Yes. She looked at me. "I wanted you before this." I didn't answer too fast. "I think I knew." "No, you didn't. You were engaged and polite and very committed to not noticing anything that complicated your life." That sounds like me. It was annoying. I apologized for my commitment to inconvenience avoidance. She laughed, then stepped closer. "I'm serious." "So am I." Her eyes searched my face. "Don't kiss me if you're trying to prove something." "I'm not." "Don't kiss me if you want to erase tonight at your house." "I don't." "Don't kiss me if tomorrow you're going to wake up and call this a mistake." I touched her hand. "Sienna, if I kiss you, tomorrow gets more complicated, not less." She nodded. "Good." So I kissed her. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't rushed. It was careful at first, then less careful when she leaned into me and held on like she had been arguing with herself for years and finally lost. Afterwards, she rested her forehead near my shoulder and laughed softly. "What?" "I just made my life incredibly difficult." "Welcome to management." She pulled back. "You're not funny." "I'm a little funny." Barely, but she was smiling. For a couple of weeks, we lived inside a small, protected world. Not naive exactly, more like 2 people who had been standing in a storm and finally found a room with a door that locked. We went to movies where she whispered comments until I threatened to change seats. We got burgers at a place near my office where the fries were better than the service.
She helped me repaint the guest room because she said the color looked like landlord regret. I told her my design opinion was wall exists, and she said that explained too much about me. We didn't rush the physical side. There was wanting, sure, I'd be lying if I said otherwise, but there was also respect and a lot of stopping before a moment turned into something we weren't ready to carry. One night on the couch, she pulled away from a kiss and pressed a hand to my chest. Wait. I stopped. You okay? Yes. I just need to not feel like I'm sneaking around in my own life. You're not. I know, but my brain hasn't received the memo. I sat back. Then we slowed down. You're not mad, Nathan. I'm 30. I can survive not getting everything I want immediately. Barely, but I'll manage. She smiled, then leaned against my side. You're better than you think. Careful, that kind of talk leads to confidence. You already have plenty. Good, saves time. She grew quiet. Do you miss her? I didn't pretend not to know who she meant. I miss who I thought she was. That counts? Maybe. Do you compare us? No, not at all. I looked at her. I compare how I feel. With her, I was always trying to keep the temperature in the room stable. With you, I can say the actual sentence. Sienna looked down at her hands. That scares me. Me too. Good. Why good? Because if you said it didn't, I'd think you were either lying or stupid. Nice range. I'm generous. We should have known the quiet wouldn't last. The first hint came from my coworker Derek, a site superintendent with a shaved head, a permanent squint, and no patience for drama unless it involved bad concrete. He stopped by my office door one afternoon. You got a minute? Work minute or weird minute? Weird. Terrific. He stepped in and shut the door. My wife saw something online, some post from a friend of a friend about you. I leaned back. Let me guess. I abandoned Brielle days before the wedding? Derek grimaced and took up with her jealous sister. I stared at him. Fast work. Yeah, comments are ugly. Show me. He handed me his phone. The post wasn't directly from Brielle, of course not. It was from one of her friends, written in that vague, dramatic way people use when they want attention but still want deniability. Some women lose everything because the people closest to them wanted what they had. Under it were comments, names I recognized. Cousins, bridesmaids, people from Brielle's church, a woman from Diane's book club. Sienna's name appeared again and again. Snake, homewrecker, always jealous, poor Brielle. I handed the phone back. Derek watched me. You want advice from me? Always a cultural event. Don't let them set the story. I'm trying to not drag a private mess into public. He snorted. Private mess is already public, brother. Difference is, right now, somebody else is holding the microphone. That stayed with me. When I got home, Sienna was at the kitchen table with her laptop open and her face pale. I saw it, I said. She closed the laptop too quick. It's stupid, Nathan. I said it's stupid. I sat across from her. Show me. No. Show me. Her eyes filled, but she kept her voice steady. I don't want you seeing what they're calling me. I already saw some, not all. That hurt more than I expected. She stood and walked to the sink, gripping the counter. My aunt texted me. She says she's praying I find shame. My old high school friend unfollowed me. Mom called 3 times and didn't leave a message. I'll handle it. She turned. How? I'll call Brielle and say that... What? That if you don't stop, you'll tell everyone what happened? Sienna laughed once, not amused. You think she'll care? She should. She won't. She thinks you're too decent to embarrass her. She may be overestimating my dedication to customer service. Nathan, what if you do that, it gets worse before it gets better? I know, and I'm the reason. No. Yes. If I walk away, she loses her target. I stood. Do you want to walk away? Her lips parted, then closed. That's not fair. It's the only question that matters. She looked down. No. Then don't hand her a victory and call it kindness. Sienna's face tightened. You make it sound easy. It isn't. My mother thinks I stole my sister's life. You didn't. People don't care. I care. She looked at me, and for the first time since the diner, I saw doubt beating up the courage in her. I don't want to ruin you. You're not that powerful. A tiny laugh escaped her despite herself. Jerk. Accurate, but listen to me. Brielle did this because she needs everyone looking at us instead of looking at what she did. That doesn't make you guilty, it makes you convenient. Sienna wiped under one eye, angry about the tear more than the tear itself. I hate that she knows where to hit. So we stop her letting her choose the target. I called Brielle from the kitchen while Sienna sat nearby, arms wrapped around herself. Brielle answered on the fourth ring. "Well," she said, "this is unexpected. Stop spreading stories about Sienna." She laughed softly. "Is that what she told you?" "I've seen the posts. I didn't write them." "No, you just fed the people who did. You're paranoid." "I came home to a man in my house, Brielle. My standards for paranoia have shifted." Silence. Then coldly, "You don't want to go there." "I don't. That's why I'm calling you privately." "How noble. Take down the lies. Correct a story with your family and friends. Leave Sienna out of it." "Or what?" "Or I tell the truth publicly." She was quiet for a second, then she laughed. "You won't. Try me. You care too much about looking respectable. You always have. That's why you are easy." Sienna's eyes lifted to mine. Brielle kept going. "You won't humiliate yourself by telling everyone your fiancé found someone better while you were playing important in Denver." I smiled, though she couldn't see it. "Brielle, you have confused quiet with afraid the last time. You post anything and I'll tell everyone you were already obsessed with Sienna. You're already doing that. I'll make it worse. I believe you, so back off." "No." She inhaled sharply. "No? I gave you a chance to stop. You didn't take it. You're making a huge mistake. I made the huge mistake when I ignored who you were, because admitting it would make dinner uncomfortable." I ended the call. Sienna stared at me. "She won't stop." "No." "What now?" "Now I decide whether being private is still worth letting you get crushed." She stood. "Nathan, don't do it for me if you're not ready to live with it." "That's the point. I am." "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm sure silence is helping her." That night I wrote the post. Not angry, not dramatic, no insults, just facts. I wrote that I returned from a month-long work trip on a specific date. My fiancée did not come to the airport. Her sister did. I wrote that I later went to my own home where my fiancé had been staying with another man without my knowledge. I wrote I ended the engagement that night. I wrote that Sienna had not hidden anything from me, had not caused a breakup, and had been attacked for refusing to lie. I included the flight confirmation, a screenshot of Brielle's text asking Sienna to pick me up, and the photo from my doorbell camera showing Colton leaving my house with Brielle behind him. I didn't add music, I didn't call a speech, I didn't call Brielle names. The facts did not need decoration. Before I posted it, I handed the laptop to Sienna. "Read it." She shook her head. "I trust you." "I know. Read it anyway." She sat and read every line. Her face changed twice. Once when she saw how little blame I put on her. Once when she saw that I had written, "Sienna Bennett told me the truth when it would have been easier for her to protect her sister." She looked up. "You don't have to say that." "I do. People will say we planned this. People say microwave pizza is good. I can't build my life around every bad opinion." She almost smiled, then didn't. "You're about to burn down your clean reputation." "No, I'm about to stop lending it to someone who's using it against you." Her eyes stayed on mine. "If you post this, I'm staying. You don't owe me that." "I didn't say I owe you." Her voice steadied. "I'm choosing it." "Okay." Then I clicked post. The first hour was ugly. The second was silent. By the morning, the whole story had turned. Derek texted me. Well, that got educational. A bridesmaid messaged me an apology. Brielle's cousin deleted 3 posts. Diane called and cried through most of a voicemail. Walter sent a text that said, "We need to talk when you're ready." That was about as emotional as Walter got with medical assistance. Brielle called 17 times. I answered none. Sienna sat beside me on the couch while my phone lit up again and again. "You okay?" she asked. "No." "Same." Baxter put his head on her knee. Smart dog. Terrible loyalty. Excellent timing. By the end of the day, Brielle's friend had deleted the original post. Several people who had attacked Sienna started posting vague quotes about kindness and not knowing the full story, which I found brave in the way a wet napkin is brave. Sienna saw one and groaned. Now they're all suddenly philosophers.
Public embarrassment does wonders for spiritual growth. She leaned into me. I hate that it took this. Me too. But thank you. I kissed the top of her head. You don't have to thank me for telling the truth. I know. I'm thanking you for paying the cost. A few days later, Diane asked us to come over for dinner. Sienna stared at the message for a long time. No, she said. Okay, you don't want me to go? I want you to decide. She looked at me. That's annoying. Healthy boundaries often are. She tossed a napkin at me. I'm scared. I know. What if Mom cries? She probably will. What if Dad says something stiff and uncomfortable? He definitely will. What if Brielle is there? We leave. Sienna nodded. Just like that? Just like that. She breathed in. Okay, we go. 1 hour. 1 hour. And if anyone calls me a name, I'm leaving with the bread. Reasonable. Diane cried before we even made it through the door. I'm sorry, she said, holding Sienna's face in her hands. I should have asked you. I should have listened. Sienna's eyes watered. Mom, not in the doorway. Right. Yes. Come in. Walter shook my hand hard. I owe you an apology. You don't owe me a speech. Good. I'm bad at those. I noticed. Sienna gave me a look. Walter actually smiled. Brielle wasn't there. Her absence had weight, but it also made room for oxygen. Dinner was awkward. Real awkward. Forks too loud, sentences too careful. Everyone stepping around names and regrets, but it was honest. Diane asked Sienna how she had been holding up. Walter admitted they had been too willing to believe Brielle's version because it was easier than facing what she had done. Sienna didn't let them off cheaply. You didn't just believe her, she said. You let her use me. Diane nodded, crying again. I know. Walter looked down at his plate. I'm ashamed of that. Sienna sat very still. I needed you. Diane reached for her hand. I know. Sienna let her take it, but not quickly. That mattered. Forgiveness, if it came, would not be handed out like dessert. Later, Diane found me on the back patio. She looks different with you, she said. She's the same person. No, she's less careful. I looked through the glass door. Sienna was talking to Walter, using both hands the way she did when she was trying to make a point and not let emotion run the meeting. She's had to be careful too long. Diane wiped her eyes. Do you love her? I didn't dodge it. Yes. Diane nodded, absorbing the answer like it hurt and helped at the same time. She loved you before she should have. I think I did too. I just didn't admit it. That's going to be hard for people. It already was. She's my daughter. I know. Don't make her pay for Brielle's choices. I looked at her. I won't. And don't ask her to pay for yours. Diane blinked, then nodded slowly. Fair. When we left that night, Sienna held my hand the whole way to the car. Once inside, she exhaled. Well, nobody died. Strong family progress. Mom hugged me 6 times. She was pacing herself. Dad apologized using complete sentences. That was new. Historic. Sienna laughed, then got quiet. What? Diane asked you outside. You heard part of it. The important part. She looked at me. Did you mean it? Yes. Her eyes shined. Say it to me then, not through my mother, like we're in a weird church committee. I turned in the seat. I love you. Good. That's your response? Processing. Take your time. I'll sit here emotionally exposed, very comfortable. She laughed, then leaned over and kissed me. I love you too, Nathan. I rested my forehead against hers for a moment. Still processing, yes, but faster now. 3 months later, Sienna officially moved in. Not because she needed a place to hide, she had rebuilt enough with her parents to visit on Sundays, argue with her mother about recipes, and leave when the conversation got too Brielle-shaped. She moved in because one night she looked around my kitchen, Baxter asleep near her feet, 2 mugs in the sink, my work boots by the door, her laptop on the table, and Sienna said, "This already feels like home." Are we pretending it doesn't? I'm done pretending. It was never my best skill. That is not true. You were excellent at it. Thank you for documenting my growth. She moved in the next weekend with 3 boxes, 2 plants, and a firm opinion about my living room furniture. I lost the argument about the couch. I won the argument about keeping my old recliner in the den. Marriage-level negotiations without the paperwork. As for Brielle, she left town for a while and stayed with a friend near Cincinnati. The wedding deposits were gone. A lot of people stopped inviting her to things, not because I asked them to, but because people do not enjoy realizing they were used as props. Diane still talked to her, of course, she was her daughter, but even Diane stopped cleaning up every mess. I didn't celebrate Brielle's falling. That would have tied too much of my life to hers. I just noticed that the noise around her got smaller once the truth got louder. My life got better in ordinary ways. Better coffee in the morning because Sienna cared about it. Better weekends because she dragged me to places I would have dismissed as crowded nonsense and then caught me enjoying them. Better work days because I no longer came home to a room where I had to guess the emotional weather before setting down my keys. We bought a small place on the edge of a quiet neighborhood the following year. Nothing huge, a good kitchen for Sienna, a garage for me, a fenced yard for Baxter, who immediately claimed all of it and contributed nothing financially. I upgraded my truck after a promotion. Sienna got a studio with big windows, and their friends learned quickly that dinner at our house meant she cooked, I cleaned, and nobody was allowed to bring vague gossip as a side dish. Sometimes people still looked at us and did the math. Former fiancée, younger sister, bad timing, wrong order. I understood. Life had given them a messy equation. But Sienna and I knew the part most people missed. We didn't start because it was easy. We started because when everything got ugly, she told the truth and stayed. I stayed too. Not out of guilt, not out of anger, not to punish anyone, because for the first time in years, I didn't have to choose between peace and honesty. I had both, and the woman waiting for me at the airport turned out to be the one I should have been coming home to all along. What would you have done if you came home and found the truth waiting in your own house? Do you think Nathan was right to make the truth public, or should he have stayed silent?